Welcome to self-discoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Choose Positive Living, right here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy, and my guest today is Debbie Gray. She says, life choices, what are they for you? Life is too short to do what you do not enjoy. Life is about choices. She likes to help people gain clarity and be happier by creating more options in the simplest way possible. It's much easier than people to relax and untangle their lives and mind when you have support and guidance. It's stated by her own journey walking with women, needing to see some form of light and inspiration into dark scenarios, ending up working more than men. Debbie Gray is an accomplished life coach and business coach that began with the inception of her first business in 1999. Coaching was introduced in the mid-2000s, as did a curious study and mastery of diverse modalities centered around mindset and spiritual growth. Successfully raised 3 children as a single parent whilst running a business. She resides both in Africa and the UK, a journey of tapestry of growth and adaptation that encompasses transformative and empowering experiences for clients. So, Zambian parents, both Zambian and raised in England. She wanted to be a psychologist in her teens because the human mind always interested her. The saying mind over matter was a statement I always heard. This didn't happen. So she started a journey of self-discovery while working different office roles, developed an interest in life coaching in her early 20s, but didn't feel that she had enough experience. So she traveled. She acted on some instincts and intuitions and free flowing and enjoyed life and traveled to Zambia in 1999 and didn't leave. Found a natural knack for business, got married, had kids, fast forward to the early 30s, got divorced, had 3 children between the ages of 2 and 8, and had to make a life and make business work for her. So she drew on her strengths to coach business and people and provide an income while raising and providing for her trio. Now in her late 40s, parenting has transitions, and she lives both in Zambia and in the UK and is thoroughly enjoying coaching. When we were just talking about kids leaving the nest, not needing us, but that all seems to come around where they don't need you and then all of a sudden they do, Mom, and they find their way back. But the one thing you can't do with your children is coach them, right? Because it doesn't matter if you're a highly successful or awarded coach, the last thing they ever want from mum is coaching. I'll do it myself. But there's
It's all
plenty
about
of other
free
people
will.
ready. Yeah, exactly. So welcome, my dear, welcome. 2
Thank you
countries.
for
So
having me.
your feet are in both lands and very, very diverse countries. I mean,
And it,
England has changed a lot since I left, but it's kind of interesting to have your feet on both sides of the coin, so to speak.
I'm sorry, I must have sent through that information incorrectly.
Oh,
I actually have one Zambian parent and one British parent.
okay.
So that is the reason why I can free flow between the two. But I was born in Zambia, brought up in Zambia, and then moved to the UK secondary school.
But you go back and forth, and I mean, a totally different type of lifestyle, a different approach to life. And I think the more and more, as you said, you decided, I haven't got enough in me yet to be a coach. I can go do it generically, but I need life experience. And you travel. Travel is a wonderful way of gaining experience and insights, isn't it?
100%, 100%. I mean, I used to consider myself a hippie before I
Hmm.
had children, before I
Hmm.
got married. And then, yeah, I mean, it's all part of the growing up and moving forward, moving on, and seeing the next stage of our blessed life that we're supposed to experience and enjoy and live,
Hmm.
or not enjoy so much with the divorce and all the
Yes.
more challenges and life lessons that come along. So yeah,
But that's the point, life lessons, right? It's what you do with it.
100%.
I mean, I call it the nudge, nudge, wink, wink of the cosmic two by four. Where the universe is nudge, nudge, winking you, trying to shift you off in that direction. Can you see this over here? And you don't, and the cosmic two by four comes along, either in illness, divorce, total change of life. But it always puts you on the path that you're meant to be on. And when you look in hindsight, you go, ah, now I get it. Now I get it. Did you have that for yourself?
Maybe not. I mean, I still think that there's still so much to learn from hindsight. I'm still trying to see if I can create that magic ball that can still give me forward thinking with hindsight
Mm,
knowledge.
mm.
But yeah, I mean, when you're going through what you're going through, you don't actually think of looking back, or you're just trying to stay in that moment, survive and move forward, which is part of the journey.
It is part of the journey. And then you get to pause at some point, or even you're at a crossroads and it's like, oh, I'm not sure. I've got a couple of paths in front of me. Which one do I take? And that pause is the greatest gift to yourself because in reflection, you look back to how far you've come. Wow, look how far you've come, right? Look at how much skill and tools and knowledge I have now. And so being
Yeah.
able to choose a path forward is so much easier because you have more clarity when you look back to look forward.
I agree 100%, 100%. Because let's face it, when you think back to when all of us were young, we wouldn't have seen half the things that have happened or we are going through at this moment. Because the reality is, we don't have the eyesight or the vision at that stage to even look beyond what we've experienced.
Hmm.
So the more we
Hmm.
expand, I mean, that's why they say the more with expansion, you will never go back. You
No,
can't go back.
no,
It's just your mind has shifted, your perspective has changed, and yeah,
it's
the world
broadened.
keeps rolling. Yes,
Mm. And yes, in the broadening of it, that doesn't always mean it's kumbaya and all wonderful. Somebody in the broadening of it and go, oh, there's some not such nice things over here. And it is then becomes more the awareness, how do I avoid that? Because I don't want to go down that road, right? But sometimes that road feels like it's pulling you. So how do we pull back?
sometimes we don't. Sometimes it's
Mm.
pulling us because there is a lesson there that
Yeah.
we are actually supposed to venture down and we are actually supposed to grow from. I think that's the hardest thing when we keep getting repeat scenarios. You have to
Yes.
stop and think, what am I supposed to be learning here? How come I keep doing the same thing, or how come similar circumstances keep coming into my life? What is it that I'm actually supposed to be growing with from this, or what am I supposed to be learning from it?
And why am I
How do
not
I
paying
move on?
attention? Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
we're repeating it, it means we're not paying attention to the lesson, right? No, it's a totally different scenario. It's a different person, a different country, a different this. How can it be the same thing? It's also based very, very much on our patterning, on our programming. That we may go into a different situation, but we're going with the old program. And that's why we get the same results.
Indeed, indeed. So, I mean, even when you think of, so as a life coach, it's literally working with the future, working with fine tuning, working with clarifying on situations. As a hypnotherapist, which is what I am as well in five modalities, you then look back
Mm,
and you're working on your past. So with the programming in both modalities, you can pretty much work with it to see how you can break that narrative, how you can
yeah.
stop repeating the same cycle, how you can get out of that rut. And to be honest, when we're in those ruts, we never realize
Oh,
we're either going through the motions or we're frustrated with where we are. And yeah, there's a lot that we can learn. But that's where I guess outside individuals help see it in a different perspective.
yeah, we need that other viewpoint because otherwise we're so immersed in it. And it's very hard to see anything when you're immersed in it. And it's like, hang on, this I've been there, I've done this. I don't know if you ever remember the movie Speed, But there's the
Keanu Reeves and
right,
yeah.
and there's the scene where the bus, for anybody who hasn't seen it, it's a good movie. Go and see it, and they've got to keep this bus above 50, otherwise it'll blow up. And they guide it to the airport so that it can go around and around and around. And you've got this one guy that says, "I've been here already." And it's like just a simple statement, but in a lot of ways, it's like when we find ourselves, hang on, this is, I've been here, I've done this. Why am I still here? Why have I been drawn back here again? And it is that old pattern. It is even a DNA pattern from
Hmm.
our ancestors or even a past life pattern.
Epigenetics. Hmm.
Absolutely. And it's like if we're not aware, we can't break the cycle. But you're not aware when you're doing it on your own. You do need that outside person who can see, where you're constantly turning around and going back into the fire, so to speak, and how to change that pattern. It's not easy to do on your own.
It's definitely not easy to do on your own. I mean, a simple way of just, I mean, I find that when people get stuck in certain situations, is just to elevate your frequency just a bit with gratitude.
Oh, yes.
So if you can elevate your frequency just a bit with gratitude, see what it is about the situation, see what the negative part of the
Mm,
situation is that you can be grateful for.
mm,
And again, when you're going through it, it is not an easy thing to find,
no.
but there's always something. There is always something.
Yes. Even if it's just a question of, I survived it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I
Yeah.
made it through to the other
Yes,
side.
exactly.
Yeah,
Be
no.
grateful for the fact that, okay, you're here again. You know what's about to come up. You know when to dodge and which door to head for. And be grateful for the fact that you at least retained that information and you're on the other side of the door now.
See, and the other thing is, once you're on the other side of the door, you turn around and there's three more doors. There's always more doors.
Yes,
That
yes.
that is the genius thing about life is you don't have to be stuck with just that one narrow
Mm,
vision that there's only one way to get through. No, that there's always options. You just
yeah.
have to be able to see them.
I think, one of the things that stops people from opening other doors or even leaving the room they're in is a lack of self-esteem, a lack of self-worth. And if you're, in a relationship or if you've been brought up where you've not been given any value or you aren't giving yourself any value, you always feel you're deserving of the punishment. This is all there is. There can't be anything else. And it's a low frequency. And of course, the vultures love that low frequency because, that's what they thrive on. And it's that at some point we've got to realize it's not somebody else's opinion that's going to make our own self-value or self-esteem grow. It's the opinion of ourselves. And we've got to be willing to do the inner work. Outside can help you see inside, but you've got to go inside to see the outside differently.
Happiness works from the inside out.
And it's all there, ready to be ignited, right?
I
And
mean,
it's simple things.
the other thing, sorry, that I would add to that is lack of knowledge.
Yes.
Often people don't know that they have choices. People
Hmm.
don't know that there's other options. It's literally expanding that tunnel vision at the time
Hmm.
through all scenarios. I mean,
Yeah.
you can never make the mistake and think you know it all because there's always more to learn. There's always more to experience. There's always more fun to be had.
If you're willing to go through the process.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's not going to happen if you're standing still. So, well, give me, tell me what to do, give me. No, you've got to be willing to put one foot in front of the other and go through that process.
But again, that's the same as everybody says, it's about free will. We have the option of free will. So you
Mm,
can tell somebody you need to get out of this relationship. It's no good for you. That job is really not the best thing for you. Don't do that. You can say all that you want,
yeah.
but the advantage that they have is that they have free will.
Hmm.
You have to allow for the fact that everybody is free to make their own choices, their own decisions, may not be ones that we agree with, but at the end of the day, it's on them. So until they're ready
100%.
to change, they won't.
No. And free will is my guiding compass. Unless somebody is a free will, it's an intrusion.
Yeah.
But in the same time, you can paint an inspiration. I have a saying, take the horse to water. You can't make it drink. Leave it there long enough with the lovely water running, they're going to realize they're thirsty. So one can paint the picture of a life they could have. One can be happy as an example. And that inspiration begets that invitation. And at some point, it's like, I've got to have what she has or he has. Uh, what do I do? Now the permission, help me get there. Help me find that happiness within myself. Now you can actually go to work with someone. They've still got to work it, right? It isn't plug you in, download, you're now ready. No, this isn't Matrix. This is something you still got to work at. And that means looking at those past patterns that are getting in the way, looking at why do you feel like that? Why are you repeating that pattern? And be willing to go through that and in kind of even facing our own inner demons, making friends with them and letting them go, showing them the door, right? But it is a process and you'll get through it quicker the more you immerse yourself into it. But if you're resisting, it's going to be a harder journey.
This is something that I learned the hard way with hypnotherapy. I was like, I want to help you get over your traumas. I
Mm.
want to help you with this. I want to help you with that. If people aren't ready
Mm-hmm.
to take that step, they may be curious, they may think that they do, but they'll always get out what it is that they actually need.
Mm-hmm.
They'll always leave a session, whether it's a life coaching session, whether it's a hypnotherapy session, they'll always leave with what they need because it's as much as they're comfortable to receive
At that moment.
at that moment. Yeah. Yeah.
And once they've digested that and that wasn't so hard, or I now my eyes are open, now they're ready for the next step.
Yeah.
This whole thing that you get with people, 48 hours, I will cure you, this, that, etc. No, we've got to understand it's taken years to get into this mess. And it's maybe taken lifetimes of DNA lifetimes. And it's still a process, even when you feel that I'm clean of all that past programming. It's still that 10% that you carry around with you. And it will still pop up now and again. But your 90% knows how to cope with it, but it's changing from your 90% misery to happiness and 10% misery, which you can cope with.
It's literally just whatever we are ready for at the stage of life that we
Mm,
come to, having to make our choices, having to make our decisions. When we get to the point where we want something else,
mm,
then we've made some kind of internal agreement to say, I've had enough of this.
mm,
I want to move forward, or I'm ready for the next step. We've had to have made some kind of internal agreement for us to be able to move to the next step,
mm-hmm. Yeah,
whatever it is we choose that step to be.
and there'll be one step that feels like you're walking through molasses, and another step feels like the cha-cha-cha, and it's like each step is going to have its own rhythm according to what it is that you're working through, right? And don't kind of give up because you had a bad day, right? It's simply just a bad day. And be grateful that you have another day tomorrow to start all over again.
Yeah, I mean, my dad always used to say everything always looks better after a good night's sleep.
And I agree with that because it's you leave your day yesterday in yesterday, right? You only take what's good from it that can serve you. If it was bad, leave it there. Why would you want to bring it forth, right? If it's something that you have to still deal with, you're not going to deal with it when you're exhausted or anxious or depressed. You're not going to have any clarity or angry. So you need to have that rest. You need to remove yourself from it so that you can actually take that breath, calm down, then the clarity starts showing up, doesn't it?
It's a fresh start.
Mm,
Every morning we have that chance to have a fresh start, leave all negativity behind us and try to move forward and evolve.
yes.
It's our choice, it's our option, but
As you said,
it's a
starting
job.
the day with gratitude, you
Yeah,
know, you open your eyes. I woke up today. I have the opportunity of a whole day in front of me, right? Where's my enthusiasm for the day? Doesn't matter if you had a bad night's sleep or anything. It's like, here's a new day. What are you going to do with it? How about we greet our day with enthusiasm?
I start every morning with a thank you.
Hmm.
It's as simple as that, just a
Hmm.
simple thank you. And I kind of feel That's my way of just starting my day with grace, with peace, and on it goes.
It sets the vibe for the day.
Yeah, yeah.
And it
I
doesn't
mean,
mean the day's going to go like that all thing, but you know, you just don't, as the English saying is, you don't get your knickers in a twist when something goes wrong, right? Because you started the day off right.
you start off the day. I mean, for my routine, most days is wake up in the morning. I'm grateful. I'll do 15 to 20-minute meditation just so I can keep that sense of peace
Mm,
throughout the day. And if I find that I'm rushed off or there's so many things that I have to do or it's an early start, I'll find like 5 minutes just to breathe, center myself, and just go into myself just to be at peace
hmm
because I need that. I honestly need that just so I don't kind of energize my day with whoever I may encounter.
hmm
I'm
hmm
neutral. I'm
Yeah.
neutral. You're having a bad day. I'm sorry. Sending you love. I'm all
Mm.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's honoring yourself. It's honoring your frequency.
Yes.
And if you're no good to anyone else, if your frequency is like, the needle across the record. You're frazzled. People are going to feel the frazzle. They're going to become more frazzled, and all you have is frazzle, 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 right? So it's even at times when you feel you're not in the right equilibrium, I need to go and step out and give myself that 5 minutes wherever I am. I need to take that pause. It's not only good for you, but it's actually good for anybody that you're working with or dealing with. Because again, all those statics, what do we have? More static. But when somebody comes out of it calm and peace, it helps bring that static down.
Yeah. I mean, the best way with any kind of conflict, and I'll give the example of, say, two people when they are arguing. If you contribute to that argument,
Hmm
it just becomes more energized. It just becomes more uncontrollable.
Yeah.
You really want to be in a place where one person is arguing by themselves,
Yes.
you are the peace, and then they will then find the peace because then they'll get so irritated with the fact that they're not getting that same rebound. So, well, what were we arguing about again? You
Mm-hmm.
know,
hmm Yeah,
yeah.
there's two things to add to that. I used to say to my husband, who was a bit of a browbeater, take it up with your mirror. It's the only one that's interested. When he got into an argumentative mood. But my mother brought me up as saying, the value you place on yourself is the value others are going to take you for. But when people pick on you, because I was a sickly child, so I was picked on a lot, just ignore them completely. Be in your own space. And then when they finished frothing at the mouth, turn around and say, I'm terribly sorry. Were you speaking to me? I didn't hear
I
you.
like that.
And it's like, yeah, it makes them mad, but at the same time, they puff and they puff and they puff, and internally, you're probably kind of jumping hoops, but you're not reacting. But you're letting them know, I'm not interested in that. You want to talk to me, you come and talk to me on a different frequency. That I'm not entertaining.
Yeah. Don't feed the vampires.
Don't. It's the same with social media and algorithm. We're an algorithm, right? What we put out is what we're going to attract.
Hmm.
If you put out spew stuff on social media, believe me, all the spewies are going to be in there having a party. If you don't respond to those things and you put out what you want to see as those affirmations of joy and possibilities, that's what's going to feed and that's what's going to be the reaction. It's the same with this in our environments, right? How we present ourselves, the algorithm that we present ourselves in, is how people are going to interact with us. So if you're suddenly getting a lot of people arguing with you, is do you have a little argument going on inside that you're unaware of, that you're attracting?
And that's where you have to check your own frequency.
Yeah.
So you kind of find that, I mean, with any, I don't even know, but spiritually,
hmm
if you start to elevate your frequency, elevate your consciousness, just become a little bit more lighter and more in tune with yourself, you won't notice as many arguments
hmm
as you would when you were down splashing in the mud.
hmm hmm
So the
Hmm.
more that you can elevate and lift your frequency, your vibe, your energies up, the less you have to deal with the less fun parts of life, I would say, is what I've found anyway.
I mean, let's face it, emotions have a reason for being there. If you're mad, you're sad, there's a reason why. And we need to look at that reason. Why am I sad? Why am I mad? You need to
Hmm.
address it because if you don't, it's going to keep coming back at you. But it's like I would say, spend the emotion, deal with the emotion. Don't become emotional over the emotion. And
Yeah.
we get people getting angry and getting angry that they're angry and getting angry, angry, angry. And it's just like, no, 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 pull it back. Right? What were you angry about? Address it. What are you empowered to do here? Is it something you have to let go because it cannot be resolved, or is it something that you can resolve? And take that breath and move forward. It's hard to do when you're in the midst of it, but it's something we really have to be cognitive of, don't we?
Emotional charge is a dangerous, dangerous
Mhm,
thing.
mm,
Like you find a lot of people make decisions when they are emotionally charged, and
mhm.
that's as we've all learnt one way or another, good or bad, it's not always the best way to go. You'd rather
Right.
be neutral when you're making a decision.
Yes.
And I'm talking about like a life-changing decision rather than doing it out from a place of anger, from a place of fear, from a place that is more energetic than it should be. You'd rather be as neutral as possible so that you get the best results for you.
Yeah. That neutral isn't abstaining from any emotion. It's
Oh
just
no.
in that neutrality, you have clarity on which emotion to feed.
It's not being controlled
Yeah.
by the emotion.
Hmm.
So it doesn't mean that you're not feeling any, it's just not being controlled by the emotion. That is what I would refer to as being
Hmm.
neutral enough to be able to make decisions to move one way or another. When you are feeling that you are emotionally charged, just step back, take a breath, breathe,
Yeah. Breathe. A big one, folks.
breathe.
Take that breath. It's like, what do they call it? Shopper's remorse. Certain companies give you X amount of days for shopper's remorse. It's very hard to get anger, remorse once you've spewed out everything you said. You can't reverse it and take it back. And you can't say, sorry, I didn't mean it because you said it. You own it. So you really want to put yourself on freeze before you open your mouth and say something that you know you're going to regret.
But again, you're more inclined to say something that you're not comfortable with when you are being driven by a
Hmm.
supercharge.
Yeah. Yeah.
So rather just, I mean, a lot of the times it's to walk away,
Yeah.
take a step back, just get into that place where you know that you are not triggered
Hmm.
by whatever's going on at the time.
I think it's very healthy for anyone in any form of relationship, whether it's work, whether it's children, whether it's a loved one. It's to understand that when you start feeling the heckles going up, uh-uh, take a break, different rooms, go for a walk, go and do what you need to do. We're not going to even come back to each other for another 20 minutes. And to know, set in motion when you're in the right frame of mind, that when you get into the wrong frame of mind, that is what you're going to do. If somebody walks away, don't you walk away from me. That was the agreement. We're going to walk away from each other. Right?
Don't tell
Because,
me to calm
yeah,
down.
exactly. What do you mean I'm
Oh
mad?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, no, no. Yeah.
So I think it's good when you're, in the right frame of mind to kind of set those boundaries. And that, when you are in argument, we agreed. No, if we get to this point, we walk away or we do something else because then part of the rationale on the back of the mind says, yes, you agreed to this.
It's also the concept of count to 10.
Yes,
Count
yeah.
to 10. I mean, I could tell you that in some of my angriest times, counting to 10, and I'm like, I'm on 15. What's going on? Still can't calm down.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. And,
No.
that's why people have punching bags or go for a jog or go and do something. Sometimes you do have to spend that anger in some form of exercise. And your body adrenaline is so driven up. So
A
whether
way
it
to
is a walk
exert
or a
it.
run or something like this, go and again, spend that emotion before you impose that emotion on the wrong person.
100%. I mean, it's fun and games. Emotions are fun and games. But yeah,
Mm,
they're always signs. They're signs of what we're feeling at the time. There's signs of things that we need to look at. There's signs that we need to check in with.
hmm.
So yeah, it's always signs, signs. And they're not so mystical because we go through it, so we
Yeah.
feel it at the time.
We talk about self-value and learning to love yourself, but I think one of the big things is self-awareness. It being aware of, how many people put themselves down. I was one of those. And, before you're going to ridicule me, I'll ridicule myself. That's was a defense mode. And it's like being self-aware of how we're presenting ourselves, because that's how people are going to see us. And if you're putting yourself down all the time, then that's what you're inviting them to do. So very often we're not aware of our body posture, our tone, or the few quippet things that we say. That's the stage we've set for ourselves.
I mean, it also goes back to that exercise of looking in the mirror.
Mm,
Looking in the mirror, really look at yourself and tell yourself how much you love you.
hmm.
A
Hmm.
lot of people can't do that the first time they try it. I mean, I was one of those. I would look into these eyes and I'd be looking down and be like, I love you. Like,
Hmm.
no, I love you. You
Hmm.
rock. You
Yeah.
are awesome. You know, that is a great exercise in building up your self-esteem, your confidence, starting to see yourself in a new light and starting to build your worth back. So
Mm,
I would actually say be your best cheerleader
yeah. Yeah.
because too many people are talking crap to you or
Hmm.
about you.
Hmm.
You really want to be in a place where you can be the person that compliments you the most. You don't have to find it externally. You can look in that mirror, you can tell yourself how great you are. And after a while, you will start believing it
Yeah.
because that's how the mind works.
I think it helps to write things down too. I used to get people to write columns, all the negative things they felt about themselves and all the positive. And then it would go, okay, which one do you want to feed?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Be cognitive of what you're feeding. And the old rubber band? Like, it takes eight positives to undo one negative. So every time you had one negative, it used to be the rubber band. Now say eight positives, eight gratitudes, eight positives. But it's retraining the mind, isn't it? Because our mind, if we've been in that negative zone for so long, it's hard to kind of, that pattern is so ingrained. We've got to be cognitive of what we're saying and doing. Oh, okay, no, there's the rubber band. Now eight positives, and eventually the kind of brain cottons on that this is the frequency that you want to resonate on.
I mean, what I've done in the past is I've written letters where
Mm,
I've just spewed
hmm.
because I don't want to be reminded of half the things which have been told to me, which I'm holding on to. So
Hmm.
I've just spewed on letters and then I've burnt them.
Hmm. Yes, let them go.
That way, yeah, you've just let it go. It's
Yeah.
dissolved. It no longer means anything. That's their way of just pushing it out to another side. Move forward.
You
It's
spent
fresh
it. You
beginnings.
spent it. You spent that emotion. You released yourself from it. And then, now it almost in that kind of almost depletion, and then it's put something good back in.
I mean, I'm thinking of all those people that were like, "Yeah, I'll write them a letter," and I'm thinking, well, no, I've written a few letters, but I've never actually mailed them.
Hmm.
I've just burnt them, whether that's letters to the universe, whether it's
Yeah.
letters to the people that are hurting me at the time or
Hmm.
that I'm allowing to hurt me.
Mm.
So yeah, I've done that. I've done that, but that's like 20 plus years ago.
Yes. Yes.
I've
And it's a
moved
good practice to
long
do.
gone.
Yeah, very
Mm.
good practice. But I also think too that sometimes if you really want to say something to someone and you feel they're not hearing you, yes, write that letter. But as you said, let the first part be spew. And you do this and you do that and you make me feel this way. Now review it, re-edit, do this, do that. Um, and then talk to the things that they do for you. And the things that they do against you is off balancing the things they do for you. Present it as something that they can actually see, reread, and digest, and they don't feel they're being attacked, that you're actually giving them an observation, because some people are better at reading something than being told something.
True, true. But I've also learnt the hard way that sometimes you're wasting your words.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's for you to feel comfortable within yourself that you have got to a point that you know what the answer is. You know how you feel about it. You have now found a form of peace. You can move on and you can move forward without actually having to relive
Mm-hmm.
the past experience. It is what it is. Thank you very much. I appreciate all of that. Piff puff, I'm gone,
Yeah.
and then you move forward.
Unless it's something you are trying to find balance with, a relationship where that love is 70%, but that 30% is the problem, then work on it, right? But
Oh yeah,
it's,
sorry.
yeah. But
Yeah, I mean,
that's when you've got to look at, how do they hear me? And then look at that way of communicating. But if it's somebody that keeps on, no matter what you do, bringing out the pitchfork and stabbing you, why are you sticking around? Right? It hurts, man. Just move away. And, they're not going to resolve their issues. They don't think they have an issue. You're the issue. So just move on.
having said that, it's the same as in a workplace. In a
Yes.
workplace, you can have, say, a toxic environment.
Hmm.
If you shift your perspective, you will see that they don't trigger you as much.
Mm,
And like any bullies, if they don't get that attention,
yes.
then it fizzles out, it changes, it
You're no
transitions
fun
into
to them
something
anymore.
else. Yeah,
Right. It's like my
yeah,
mum used to say, like, you just turn around. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Were you talking to me? It's not fun for them because they didn't get the reaction out of me that they wanted. Right. So,
exactly.
and if it's not
And
fun for them anymore, unfortunately, they'll go and find another victim.
and I used to be one of those that was like, you know what, I have to let them know how I feel. I
Yeah.
have to let, and then yeah, with experience, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
no, actually, I know how I feel. I know how it makes me feel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with not having to express myself. I'm more comfortable with changing how I feel about it.
Yeah. Water off a duck's back.
100%. It's just poof, gone,
Yeah.
gone. Yeah.
It's the Don Ru's four agreements, right? Speak your word with integrity, right? Don't take things personally. When somebody's dumping on you, that's all they're doing. They're offloading their shoot on you. You don't have to accept it, right? But I
Hmm.
don't assume, ask, because assumption can be entirely wrong. Until you ask, you don't understand. And then, of course, do your very best, measured only by you, not by somebody else's expectation of you. They're four very simple codes, but they're very logical and rational, aren't they?
Hmm. I think so. In everything, I've always told my kids this, and I think they even get sick of hearing it. There's three sides to every story.
Hmm.
There is his truth, the other truth, and the truth.
Hmm.
So there's always going to be completely different angles to how you perceive the exact same thing.
Hmm.
That's the way the world and the mind works. So try and take a look at things from a different angle, a different view, and you'll be shocked by how different it may look.
But often you are actually in agreement, but because you verbalize things differently, you are arguing about what you agree on, but you're just arguing on how you see it. Well, I see it this way. My way is the right way, but I see it this way. But you're both seeing the same thing. You both agree on the same thing. But what are you fighting about? The way we see it? That's just who we are. We're going to see it from our understanding, our
From our
personality
own
trait, right?
our
But
interpretations.
exactly, exactly. So as long as, we agree on what we see, and if we don't agree, why? And don't come at it from an argumentative point of view. Come at it as an inquiry that you wish to understand. It's a different tone. It's a different way of presenting. I get that you see it that way. I'm sorry, I'm unable to see it that way. Can you explain to me how you came to that conclusion? And not in an argumentative or attack way, but more, I really want to understand.
But again, that's always easier said than done when
It
you're
is.
in
You've got to
at
remove
the
those
heat of the
emotions.
moment.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. You've got to be at that stage where your frequency is feeling secure, right? So where you feel, I don't feel attacked. I just feel there's a misunderstanding here. And that's the thing when you can take, okay, I'm not under attack. It's just a disagreement on how we see things. Therefore, there is no attack here. It's just miscommunication. And I think that we all need to actually step up a little bit on how we communicate and how we try and understand other people's communication. It's coming from their culture, it's coming from their education, it's coming from how they were brought up, it's coming from their own personality trait. And so it may be different to yours, but it doesn't mean they're wrong or you're wrong. It's just a different point of view. Open your mind.
that's easier said than done, though. As we well know, there's a lot of things going on right now that are just as
Oh,
simple as that. But at the end of the day, it's about not charging any of those things as well and just sending love. Sending love.
yes. Yes. I mean, when people are um, trying to annihilate each other just because the religion is different or their practices are different, that is 100% insecurity. That is
Mhm.
100% people feeling vulnerable within themselves. And they feel by annihilating someone else, it's going to make them feel better. And that isn't going to make you feel better. That's going to make you feel worse. And it's going to get bigger and bigger how you feel inside yourself. So lashing out and hurting other people in any form, in any way. When you're in a state of vibrational love, love of self, love of life, love of your meaningful purpose, you can't knowingly go and hurt anyone else. To do so will hurt you. So all the people that are lashing out and hurting everyone and pointing fingers, they're coming from a place of inner pain that they're unwilling to do the work on, instead want to blame someone else. And if I get rid of them, I'll feel better. No, you won't, because you feel turmoil within yourself. And unless you start working on yourself, it doesn't matter if you annihilate everybody on the world, in the planet, you're still going to feel bad.
I mean, the sad thing about that is it's hard to not get involved with such supercharged
Mm-hmm.
energies
Mm.
because the reality is people are getting hurt through
Yes.
it, and
Yes.
it's not an outcome that anybody wants in any form. So
It
yeah,
doesn't
but
benefit anyone. There are no winners in this,
no,
none
and it
whatsoever.
doesn't benefit humanity, which
No.
is what are all a part of, regardless
Mm.
of what our
Yes.
cultural differences are, what our views are, what our upbringing is. We're all part of the same race,
Mm.
just doing it from different stages and
Exactly.
different
Different
viewpoints.
flavor, different spices. It would be
Yeah.
boring if we were all just the same meat and potatoes. We want to spice up flavors, and that's the reason why we do love food so much and all the different presentations of it. It's an expression, right? And we all need to express ourselves coming from our own flavor, which is important. Let's talk about hypnosis. I have a
Hmm.
story on that. I've not been able to be hypnotized, and I think a lot of that is to do with my spirituality because the other side of me becomes aware. But my daughter was having a really hard time at sleeping at night. In fact, I'd put her down, the lights are on, and then shortly afterwards, I'd find her either in bed with me or on the floor next to me. And I decided to take her to a hypnosis, and she was 4 or 5 at the time. And in putting her under, we found out that she'd been abandoned 3 times. And each time had been in the dark, where people didn't come back for her. They just left her. And we were able to tell her that you could see who that person is. Yes. Is that you? No. So give that person a hug and tell them they'll never be abandoned again. And when she came out of this, and she didn't kind of understand really what had gone on, but what happened is that she started sleeping in her own room with the lights on, and within weeks, lights off. I'm feeling very, very secure because she'd been released from these, old patterns there. And a totally different person after that. We carry things that very often we have no comprehension of. And hypnosis is a way of wonderful bringing it out and really looking at it and then diffusing the fear or the pain around it.
Reframing beliefs.
Yes,
And basically, we can pick up things from in the womb
Mm.
and it just keeps going. We just keep picking up things. I mean, one of the stories that
Backpackers.
yeah, honestly, you just keep piling it on,
Yeah.
piling it on. I mean, one of the stories that I love, and it was a sweet, one of my clients, beautiful, talented young lady, was struggling with anxiety to the extent that wasn't able to sleep, was continually checking windows. It was getting out of hand, and they had so many reasons as to why they felt that this condition had worsened, but it got to the point where it was like, okay, can you help?
Hmm.
Regressed and discovered that it was actually watching a movie that
Mm.
she wasn't supposed to have watched. Can't recall whether she was 3 or whether she was 5, but it was Gremlins.
Oh, right. Yes, my kids watch that at
So
Christmas. I don't like that movie. It disturbs me.
so happened to snuck into the sitting room to see this movie on at a point where somebody screamed on Gremlins. It was as the Gremlin came out. That fear dashed back to the room, and that is what then stayed
Mm,
with her over
mm,
the years. And the belief just kept getting compounded,
yeah.
compounded. Once we dealt with that, she was sleeping again. But
Mm,
I wouldn't have thought that it would
no.
have taken back to
Yeah.
a movie, a kid's
Right.
movie. Yeah.
Yeah. I did that too. I used to watch through the crack of the door the TV as my parents watched, and there used to be a show, I'm dating myself here, called 77 Sunset Strip. And these people were going around a museum. There was an electric chair, and this guy's doing a demonstration. This is how the chair that we used to, kill people. And then he said, "Oh, what's the smell of that?" And realized it was a real person and not a dummy, right? And after that, for days, I wouldn't sit on a chair. No, no, I'll eat my dinner on the floor. And eventually I'm like, what the hell is going on? If I sit on the chair, I'm going to get electrocuted. That will teach you. you know. And my daughter did that same thing with Tales of the Crypt. And that
Ah,
freaked her out. And we young minds, right? We're not looking at the whole picture or the rationale or anything else. It's just like absolute terror of that moment comes in, and as you said, expands and expands until totally unreasonable. And unless we really look at kind of what the cause is and laugh at it now, as adults, we can laugh at it, but at the time, no.
I just remember as a child when I would look at a shadow for long enough, that shadow would look like it was some kind of monster.
Hmm.
So I get
Hmm.
it.
Yes.
I get it 100%,
Yeah.
100%, that the imagination can run riot. Yeah, that's where hypnotherapy can help, or hypnosis, as it would be in Canada and the States. But yeah, I do it now more as part and parcel of my life coaching,
Hmm.
whereas I used to do it solely as because I was on a mission. But
Mm.
then I realized that people wanted more than just to get past that speed hump
Yeah.
or whatever challenge they were facing at the time. So
Well, I
that's
mean, you're
where,
getting a huge chunk of what was holding them back,
oh yeah, oh
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then once that huge chunk has been removed from them, and then now they're just looking at life through totally different lenses. Very often it's like, well, where the hell do I go now?
Pretty much. And I was getting repeat clients, and I was like, well, I can't keep hypnotizing you for the same thing.
Mm,
I get it. We're doing great. You're doing great, but let's move forward from this.
yeah.
And that's where to be honest, I'm enjoying life coaching a lot more. And then should anybody want
Hmm.
a hypnotherapy session within, then that was where we ventured down that. But life coaching seems to tick all my boxes.
Hmm.
It
It
helps transform and change. Sorry, go on.
No, no, but that's the point. That's what I was going to say. There's a transformation in people. Seeing their light bulbs come on, seeing them step into themselves, seeing them be able to stand up and just simply say, I am, and that's enough. Right.
Oh
And,
yeah.
seeing them get there, and you can see the whole body posture changes. You can feel, all the chakras in alignment and everything else. And they're there. They're there. They're on the right path now. And just helping them, because all you're doing is giving them the tools and the skills and, direction. They've got to do the work themselves, but you're just helping them along the way. But seeing them kind of graduate to that, where they can stand up to say, I am. It's a lovely feeling.
It's an amazing feeling, and it helps being their accountability partner to some degree,
Yes.
because at the end of every session, of course, they have to be accountable with whatever small steps they have agreed to. And
Hmm.
then you know that they are actually being proactive and moving forward in their life.
That's a big word, proactive.
Mm,
There's, because we've got so many downloadable things nowadays, a lot of people kind of, manifest an Amazon delivery, just everything is downloadable and you don't need to participate. You've got to be proactive and participate in your own healing, in your own becoming.
mhm.
You've got to be willing to go through that process and that journey. Resistance is futile because the universe will put you on this path over and over again until you're ready to stand up and walk it. So you may as well just go, okay, I'm grateful for the nudge. I'm grateful for the coach that's helping me walk this way, but I'm going to be proactive in participating in my own journey and my own self-discovery. Because that's, if they're not willing to do the work, they're not going to get the results.
It's very rare that I have people coming to me who haven't got to that point of, I need to shift something.
Hmm.
So I don't have to then persuade them.
Right.
So it's I mean, I remember in the early days, it was one of those things where, yeah, I'll do free session, I'll help you, because I was all about getting the practice.
Hmm.
But you found that even when you would incorporate an exchange of worth of some sorts, people would not commit to it.
Mm.
Because as far as they're concerned, well, it was for free, it was all good. They wouldn't put in the same amount of
Yeah.
effort that they should have done, and then they paid for it.
Hmm. I don't know
So
what
it's
it
like,
is about that. Yeah. Yeah. I want to get my money's worth. I mean, that's the mentality around that, right?
so that's why it's got to a point where now I find that people that come to me, they don't need that persuasion, they don't
Right.
need that push. They've now got to a point where I know I need a life coach, or I know I need a business coach. How can you help me get from here to there?
Yeah. And whether it's a life coach of you living your life or business, that coaching is very much the same because in business, you are your business. Who you turn up as is how people are going to receive you. Whether you put a business hat on or an everyday hat on, people want to see that consistency. Are you coming from the heart? Do you really believe in what you're doing? Are you really here to serve others? And what is it that you're serving with? Because if they don't buy you, they're not going to buy from you.
Although I'm inclined to say that in business, the business can pretty much speak for itself, because you can have an amazing team behind that
Mm.
business. So then that has to be, well, what is it that you want from your team? How are
Mm.
you going to get the best out of your team? How can
Yeah.
you inspire, encourage, motivate in order for your team to produce and elevate you onto that next level of, whether it's income, whether it's produce? How can you then move with
Hmm.
that? So,
Well, you're the
yeah.
conductor of that team, aren't you?
Oh, yes,
And you're
yes, yes,
bringing out the
yes.
best music in each one of them, and each one of them has their own talent, but how can you put them together harmoniously? Too, so that you become that conductor. But again, they look to you, the leader. And if
Hmm.
you are living in your purpose, if you're living in your I am, you really believe in what you're doing, you spark that belief in themselves as well. Because people want to belong to something that they really feel matters. It's not just a job, go home, get a paycheck. They want to know that those 8 hours that they're spending at work mean something, that they could be proud of it. They're a part of something. So if you make them feel a part of that, and that is a good leader that makes them feel a part of that. But a good leader knows the why I'm doing it. And if you
Knows their
know your
why,
why,
knows their worth,
yeah,
knows how to encourage and motivate and get everybody else to see their why and their
yes,
worth.
and
I
want to
mean,
be a part of it.
but again, everybody thinks that people work because they want to. People also work because they have commitments,
Hmm.
they have responsibilities. A good leader would know, what are their
Hmm.
responsibilities, what makes them tick,
Hmm.
am I making them feel that they are worth what they're putting in?
Hmm.
Can I encourage? Can I motivate? It's also about the monetary value.
Hmm.
That's where I'm inclined to also go because nobody works for, well, very few people work for the love of it.
Hmm.
There is a reward of sorts, if not for yourself, then for your team.
Hmm.
You know that you are getting them to be able to provide for their responsibilities and to live a life that they deserve and that they desire.
Hmm. Yeah.
That is where a good business owner has a good business coach that will then encourage, motivate, and inspire their team and to know each of them and their why.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
why is important, isn't it? Because just because isn't an answer.
No.
You know, it's what's the motivation for you being here? What's the what's the mission? And when you get people in on that same mission, it's people are eager to be a part of something. You know, they
Yeah.
want to feel that they're a part. They want to feel that they're seen and heard, and they're part of that collective. And again, going back to the orchestra analogy, we are an instrument. We learn how to play it. And yes, we can play solo and do very well. But when we come together with the orchestra, each one of us in our strengths, but playing harmoniously together, we transcend as a collective. And when we can find that right orchestra to join in our own strength, then it is the sky's the limit, right? The sky's the limit.
Everybody wants to feel connected.
Yeah.
If not connected to someone, connected to something.
Yes.
Yeah.
But again, it's not an outside connection, it's an inside
No.
connection, right?
Yeah.
When you've become that I am and you've become that leader and you've got a team, it is the inside that is the driving force that people are connecting to, not the
Yes.
outside bells and whistles, top this, top that, top business person, but treat everybody else like crap, right? So it is when they feel you, it's all about feeling. When they feel you, then they want to be a part of that. And when they feel heard as well, then that's the importance. I think that's what we're missing very much in the world is people trusting their feelings, not in anger, sadness, or depression, but in the strength of who they are and why they're here and what they're here to do, and that gathering their tribes and their collective. And the more we do that, the more we have people rising up to a higher vibration that becomes part of the healing. And then less inclined are we to see people wanting to go to war with each other, because quite honestly, it takes too much energy.
But like you said, that there's very few people who are in tune with themselves,
Hmm.
who are in touch with themselves, and very few people who put other people's needs and interests before their own.
I think we still need our own interests really abundantly there because let our cup runneth over. But there are
Yeah.
times we need to step aside for someone else. Absolutely, not at depletion level, but most certainly. And I think the only way that we're going to survive as a human race and as a planet is if we do step into our own empowerment and know our why and be there in service of one another, because I think otherwise we're going to fail as a human race. And we see the evidence of that, but let's keep that at a 10% and not let's have it grow. Let's not let the hate grow. Let the choice, I choose to plant the seeds of joy. I choose to plant the seeds of happiness. I choose to nurture them and do whatever it needs in order to maintain them. But it's all a choice.
Life is all a choice. It's
Hmm.
all about choices. Everything that we do, we choose who we show up to be every day.
Yeah.
We choose who we want other people to see us as. We choose what it is we do on a daily basis. Everything is about choices and it's all about options. So when you
Hmm.
say, I've got no choice, we've all got choices.
Yeah.
It's just
Um,
to see them.
and sometimes you can't see them until somebody says, "Hey, try on these glasses."
Yeah.
And even abstaining from a choice is a choice.
Yeah. 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 It's all choice.
Hmm.
It's all choice.
So,
Everything about everything we do is a choice from beginning to end.
yes. And what choice are you making? Is it serving
Exactly.
you? Is it serving the people around you? Are you repeating the same cycle over and over again? And go, why the hell am I on this treadmill? I can't seem to get off it. Right. And it's like you need somebody else from the outside to look in and go, let's shift you here and shift you there. A different perspective, a different view, a different pattern to make. So we can leave the old programming and pattern behind. But we need that help. It's not easy doing it on your own. Believe me, I know. I took this journey on my own, and believe me, it was a very long, arduous, hard journey. Take advantage of the people that have not only taken their own journey, but are now here to share with you, to help you on your path. So whether you're in business or in the business of your own life, Debbie has got the skills and the tools to help you on your way. But she's also got something else for you. She's got a book that if you email her, she will send to you. So can you tell us about that, love?
Okay, well, basically, I just compiled a gratitude journal just as a way of helping people to elevate their mindsets. Simple exercises, I think fun, light. Um, so yeah, if you would like a copy of that, by all means, please email me on Amethyst Mind, which is AMETHYST mind, MIND, at outlook.com, and I'll be more than happy to send you a copy of that.
And you have another offer that if people who have listened to the show and that sign up, you are offering a percentage off. Would you tell us about that?
Okay. For anybody that comes through Sarah and can name the show when they come through, then you are eligible for a 10% discount. So that's whether it's life coaching or business coaching. That is my offer to the show and the viewers. Thank you.
Very, very generous. Thank you very much. So that's a good incentive, folks, to start taking that first step. And to know your services and everything that you do, they go to your site, which again is amethystmind.co.uk. Not .com, folks, .co.uk. She's out of the UK. You work with people from everywhere, right?
I do. I do. That's the advantage of being global. And as I said, I live both in Zambia and the UK. So normally I make sure that my schedule means my traveling in between doesn't interfere. So
Right.
yeah.
Exactly. And of course, you're on your social medias as well. So
Mhm.
Facebook, Amethyst Mind Z, Instagram, Amethyst lowercase dash mind, LinkedIn on your name, Debbie Gray, DEBBIEGRAY, UK, and
Mhm.
YouTube, Debbie Gray. So people can reach out and connect with you everywhere. And all your modalities and everything that you do here is right here. The best teachers are those that have gone through it, the people that actually understand the journey, because you've been there, you've done that, and you've compiled tools along the way that you know work because they've worked for you, right? And you
Definitely.
you may customize them for other people, but the general foundation of what they do is it's tried and true, which is what we look for, right? That's the best testimony, tried and true. So if you are on that journey and you resonate with Debbie, don't do it on your own. Please don't. It's hard. It's hard. You need somebody there that's going to help you along the way, call you to action, show you a different tool and a different path, reflect on what you're actually saying to yourself. It's kind of that buddy and that cheerleader along the way. You're running a marathon. She's got the water for you. She's got the cloth to wipe your sweaty brow. She can tell you what's coming around the corner, all of that. And it's just be willing to take the journey, though. That's the thing. Be willing to take the journey. Free will, give yourself permission and give someone like Debbie permission to help you. And I guarantee you, when you step at the end of that marathon and you've gone through it all and you've stepped into I am, you will understand why it was worthwhile taking. Most certainly. Thank you so much, Debbie, for sharing with us here today.
Thank you so much for having me, Sarah. And thank you for your community for watching this.
Yes,
Appreciate it.
definitely. It's all about inspiration begets invitation. When you're inspired by what somebody else has done and what they're doing, you're invited to step up because maybe this is the person that's going to help you. But even that willingness to go, okay, first step, I need help. First step, recognizing you need help. and then doing the work, like listening to podcasts, listening to people, and go, who do I resonate with? Who do I feel a connection with? And then reaching out. And if it's Debbie, reach out. She's here for you. amethystmind.co.uk. And she'll send you, if you send the email, amethystmind@outlook.com, send you the journal. That's a great way to start too, just to start putting things down, really looking at it. It's quite shocking when you write something down, you just wrote it, you pour it out, take a pause, come back and read it and go, really? Really? I feel like that. It's a good reflection. And again, I love the letter writing, writing things out, and then flames, it's gone. Spent emotion, let go. That's one thing we need to learn, right? Let go and embrace something different. So thanks so much, Debbie, and to everyone else out there. I wish you well on your journey of your self-discovery. And until next time, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tab at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration, it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.